Hi everyone, and welcome to this new video series on mathematics past papers for CSEC. So in these series of videos, I'll be doing topic by topic, each topic that could come in your exam paper using real past papers and explaining in detail how we solve each of these questions perfectly. Okay, so the first topic that would appear in your past papers are the fraction questions. Okay, so I have some examples of fraction questions taken straight from various past papers, and I will work them out for you and explain all the steps that you need to know to solve these problems. All right, so we'll be starting off simple today. All right, so this first question says, using a calculator or otherwise, calculate the exact value of that below. So we don't need to use our calculator, right? We need to show the working on how we can manipulate the fractions to get the answer. What they mean by exact here is that they don't want some kind of decimal point or rounded off answer. In fact, if you give your answer as a fraction, that is the most exact you can get. All right, so we'll be leaving our answer as a fraction. Every time you see exact value here, we like to leave it as a fraction. All right, so let's begin by working this out. So there are three different fractions here in this sum. So it's 1 and 4 over 7 plus 2 over 3 minus 1 and 5 over 6. So this looks a little complex to us using three fractions at once. So you know what, we could just work with two. We are accustomed adding and subtracting two fractions, so let's do that. All right, so I'm going to show them in the question here that I'm using these two first. All right, so I'm bringing it over on this side. So it's 1 and 4 over 7 plus 2 over 3. So in adding fractions, we also need to convert this mixed fraction into a improper fraction. And how do we do that? Very simple. To convert, we take the big number, which is the 1, and we multiply it by the denominator, which is the 7, and then we add that value to the numerator, which is the 4. All right, so 1 and 4 over 7 becomes 1 multiplied by 7 plus 4 is actually 11. So this becomes 11 over 7. And we'll bring down the 2/3 here. And this now becomes something that we could solve. All right, so we converted the 1 and 4 over 7 into an improper fraction, and now we can add it to the 2/3. So we put our big line there, and we need to find the LCM of 7 and 3. An easy way to do this, it may not be the LCM, but it will certainly work, is to multiply the 7 and the 3 together. So 7 multiplied by 3 is 21. So we put this 21 down here. The next step in adding these fractions is to take the 7 and divide it by the 21. So it becomes 21 divided by 7, which happens to be 3. You could use a calculator for that if you want to be sure. And now you need to add the 11 to it. All right? So 7 over 21 becomes 3 multiplied by 11, which is 33, plus, and then the 3 over 21 divided by 3 is 7, and then you take the 7 and multiply by the 2 to get 14. Sorry, I'm having some technical difficulties here. Right, and now we could add these two values together. So 33 plus 14 happens to be 47 over 21. Now this is just the blue part of the question, right? That's the 1 and 4 over 7 plus 2/3. Now let's take a look at the other part of it now. So we change the color there for that. So we're taking a look at this part now. So 1 and 5 over 6. The same thing we did to the mixed number on that side, we do it to this side. So this now becomes 1 by 6 plus 5 is 11 over 6. So that's the improper fraction there. So now we need to minus whatever value we got for this first section, which was the 47 over 21, and we need to minus 11 over 6 from it. All right, so now combining the two, it becomes 47 over 21 minus 11 over 6. And here we go. We make a line, and now we need to find the LCM of those values there. Now we could multiply the 21 and the 6, but that'll be a little too big. Right? That'll be a big number. So if we take our time, we will realize that 21 could go into 42, and 6 could also go into 42. So I'm going to use 42 as my LCM. So 21 into 42 is 2, and 2 multiplied by 47 happens to be 94. So 94 now minus 6 into 42, that happens to be 7, and 7 by 11 is 77. And now we minus the 94 and the 77, so that should be 87, 17 over 42. And that will be my final answer, 17 over 42, and that is exact. Okay, it doesn't have to look pretty once it's correct. All right, and you can verify this by using your own calculator, and you'll get your answer. Okay, let's move on to the next question. This looks very similar to the first question, except there are some differences here. It's now a division sign. Simple. Like with every fraction question, we don't like mixed numbers, so let's already start. Let's use these first two fractions here. So we have 1 and 4 over 7 divided by 2/3. So again, let's convert our mixed fraction. It happens to be the same fraction as before. So this becomes 11 over 7 divided by 2 over 3. Now, the rule is when dividing fractions, we do actually use the division sign. When dividing by a fraction, you change the division sign to a multiplication sign and then flip the fraction. So let's take a look at what we do here. So this now becomes 11 over 7 multiplied by 3 over 2. Okay, so we change the division sign to a multiplication sign, and then we flip the 2/3 into 3 over 2. All right, and this now becomes 33 over 14, and that's the first half. And then we can take a look at the second half now, which is the minus 1 and 5 over 7. So again, 1 and 5 over 7 will become 1 by 7 plus 5 is 12 over 7. So now all there is to do is to take this result and minus it from the 12 over 7. So this is 33 over 14 minus 12 over 7. And the LCM is already stated in there for us. It's 14, right? 7 could go into 14. So this is 14 here. So 14 goes into 14 once. So we have 33. And then 7 could go into 14 2 times multiplied by 12. And that is 24. And now our final answer sits at, that happens to be 9 over 14. And that is your exact value. Very simple now that the working is quite similar. So let's take one more. This one looks a little bit different, looks a little more complicated, but it really is not. So just like how we had 3 fractions in the first one, there are actually 3 here. There are 1 here, 2, and 3, except the whole thing is one big fraction as well. So the way how to separate this one is to separate it using the numerator and the denominator. So this here is your numerator, and the one on the bottom is your denominator. So I want you to actually, in your exam, write the numerator and denominator next to the question, because in your answer, we are going to be using it like this. So the numerator is 3 and 3 over 4. So you know the rule, we change the mixed fraction to an improper fraction. This becomes 3 by 4 is 12, plus 3 is 15 over 4. And now let's take a look at our denominator. So the denominator now looks a little more complex. So we have 2 1/3 minus 5 over 6. So we change our mixed fraction to our improper fraction. 2 by 3 is 6 plus 1 is 7. So that's 7 over 3. And now we have to minus it from the 5 over 6. That's a very easy LCM. The LCM will be 6 there. So 3 could go into 6 twice, multiply by 7, and that's 14. And then 6 into 6 is 1, multiply by 5 is just 5. So 14 minus 5 is 9 over 6. Now 9 over 6 could be simplified as well. So we can actually simplify it, or we could leave it just as it is. So simplifying 9 over 6 would be 3 could go into 6 twice, 3 could go into 9 3 times. So this becomes 3 over 2. All right, so you could choose to do that or not. All right, so I chose to do it. So my final answer for the denominator is 3 over 2. And my numerator is 15 over 4. All right, so I can go back to my question and write that here. So it now looks like 15 over 4, and this is a big division sign there still, over 3 over 2. So remember, this big line in the middle means to divide. So now that becomes, let me change my color. It becomes this now. 15 over 4 divided by 3 over 2. So there's another way of writing that big division sign there. This is the other way of writing it, and now it looks very similar to the previous question with the division sign. So remember the rule. Let's see, 15 over 4. We change our division sign to a multiplication sign, and we flip the fraction. So it becomes 2 over 3. And things could actually cancel here. So we could cancel the 2 and the 4. 2 could go into 2 one time, 2 could go into 4 2 times, and the 3 could also cancel. So 3 could go into 3 one time, and 3 could go into 15 5 times. So now this becomes 5 by 1 is 5, and 2 by 1 is 2, and that is your final answer. Now you did not need to cancel anything. You could work it out just like that and use a calculator to cancel it and divide it for you to get the same 5 over 2. And you did not need to simplify the 9 over 6 as well. You could have left it. You just would have gotten a bigger fraction at the end, and then you would have to simplify it at the end, but that's fine. All right, so these are different ways in which the fraction questions could come. You feel free to take screenshots of the working. And if there's any questions, you can leave it in the comment section below, and I'll be happy to answer any questions or any concerns that you may have. Thank you all for watching.